Hey everyone, Ash here, hope you're all doing well. On Friday the 17th of February, I was invited along with other members of varying media to the EA offices in Guildford to spend some time playing Mass Effect Andromeda. I played the game for around 4.5 hours and got to play various sections of the single player campaign. My plan for this video is to give you my personal experience and thoughts on what I played so that at the very least you'll have a bit more insight into the game before it launches next month. I may do some smaller videos on a few specific subjects as to not miss anything and make things easier for you guys to digest, should you want more videos on specific things of course. I'll be giving my general first impressions of what I played of the game, and this will be purely based on my own personal experience. I'll also touch on the levels and areas I played, but I won't be giving away any story spoilers. As far as I was made aware, this was a full build of the game, but not the final build of the game. And for people seeing images of the menu screen, don't assume that this is the official and final menu screen. It may well be, but nothing was confirmed at the event that told us this was the official game menu. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first moment I took control was moments after the character, Sarah or Scott, had woken up from cryosleep. I got to see the beginning of how they play the non-player Ryder twins story, but no spoilers, you'll just have to wait and see. The thing I noticed immediately after taking control of the character, I played Sarah Ryder first, is how fluid and smooth it felt. Walking and running felt natural and reactive. Out of all the Mass Effect games, this is probably my favourite type of movement so far. This fluid movement is key when in combat, but we'll get more into the combat later. The moment I picked up the controller to play the game, I had no issue acclimatising with the controller layout that was presented to me. Using newer features like the rocket jump, the hover and the sideways boost all felt easy to use and didn't give me any problems. The sideways boost in particular got me out of a lot of tight spots, so I'm very happy with that particular perk. Even the new scanner tool was a simple click of down on the D-pad and then the same control again to put it away. Overall, from the layout to using the layout in the game, whether I was driving around in the Nomad or exploring or in combat, I found the controls to be intuitive, easy to use, and at no point did I feel the need to change it. I would compare it to Mass Effect 2 and 3 controls, which were great. As you probably all saw from the recent combat and skills trailer, the combat in Mass Effect Andromeda is fast, but not so fast as to be jarring or indifferent from the previous trilogy. It feels just the right pace for what you need to do to win the fight. Melee attacks feel like you're doing some real damage, they really do pack a punch. Weapons are varied and a pleasure to use and just basically downright fun. And the previously mentioned variation of weapons means that you'll definitely find something that meets your style. The enemies aren't bullet sponges by any means, but they are going to give you a challenge at the very least. I got to go up against various ranks of the Ket and the Remnant, and I felt challenged every step of the way. You're going to have to be smart and tactical if you want to get through this game. In terms of loadouts, you do get to choose your loadout at the beginning of each mission, while hanging out on the Tempest, or you can call a forward station to the planet you're on and change your loadout that way. The forward station is also the way you can deploy the Nomad on planets as well. At no point during combat situations did I feel it was repetitive. BioWare has taken a lot of time to carefully meld the action styles of Mass Effect 2 and 3 and added Andromeda's new elements with a great deal of focus and care so as to not overwhelm the player. The action and combat feel new and familiar all at the same time. Quite simply, the game looks great. Frostbite 3 has been fully utilised with Mass Effect Andromeda and the results are fantastic. I had a chance to speak with Fabrice Condominis, producer on Andromeda, and I remarked that before I'd spoken to him, I'd been playing the game for over 4 hours. He was happily surprised by this and asked me what I thought. I said to him specifically that I couldn't take my eyes off of the game. From the planets to travelling through space on the Tempest, it was hard to pull myself away from playing as all I wanted to do was just keep on exploring to see what everything looked like. I won't go into too much more detail here as I don't want to spoil too much for you all, but know that you don't have to worry about how the game looks because it is looking mighty fine. During my time with the game, I got to meet all the main characters that have been publicly revealed. They were Sarah, Scott and Alec Ryder, Vetra, Peebe, Liam, Cora, Drac, Jarl, Sam, Callow, all of which have a youthful sass and small sense of sarcasm about them, and a couple of side characters that are a part of the Tempest crew. These were the main characters I had the main conversations with, and I will say the voice acting is on point. I found myself immersed in the various conversations with the characters and the new conversations system, while not the Paragon Renegade system we've come to love, is a welcome new addition to the Mass Effect universe. You can still be sassy if you want to be, I was on a few occasions and laughed out loud pretty much every single time, or you can be straight to the point and be the consummate professional that is probably expected of the Pathfinder status. This new system gives more freedom for expression and more natural flow of conversation. The mix of the new morality style conversation and the fantastic voice acting make for an exciting way of approaching the way you play the game, and I think a lot of people will be happy with the work BioWare and the voice actors have done here. Also, a quick point on your squad mates during a gunfight, they are a lot more helpful than in previous games, much quicker to react to enemies and can handle themselves a lot more this time around. Now for those facial animations. It seems that a lot of people noticed that the facial animations were off during the Game Awards gameplay reveal. This was recognised by Aaron Flynn and said that these would be improved. From what I saw, there has been improvements, but there are still a few instances where the facial animations still seemed a little bit off. And weirdly, only seemed to happen when Scott or Sarah Ryder were talking. The animations of the alien characters, for example, Jarl, Vetra, Peebe, Callow and Drac, were all fine, no issues. Even Liam and Cora, Alec Ryder and other human crew members on the Tempest, all fine in terms of facial animations. When I played as Scott Ryder, if I had to put a percentage on it, I only noticed issues 5% of the time that some things didn't seem quite right. The other 95% was all good. And with Sarah Ryder, while issues were more noticeable with her, I'd say that her facial animations are around 85% good, but still a little work to do. My only concern here is that being around 4 weeks from launch of the game, there is very little time to fix this. But at no point did I find myself taken out of the immersion of the game because of these minor facial animation issues. They were few and far between, and I still very much enjoyed my time with the characters. I also imagine it's not the easiest thing to animate a face to be as lifelike as possible for a video game. I have faith though that BioWare will come through and sort these last issues out. Also adding a quick update here, this is actually recorded a few days after I've done my initial recording for the video. Aaron Flynn actually direct messaged me on Twitter when he found out that I had had a chance to play a preview of the game and wanted to know what I thought. And I was very honest and I said I enjoyed the game, I had a lot of fun with it, the game looks fantastic, and I was very honest about the facial animations. I did say that I felt that there were still some minor issues with the facial and the eye movement animations. He actually confirmed to me in that direct message conversation that there had been a patch and a fix already prepared for that, as you can see here on the screen. I've taken a screen grab of that particular part of the conversation, and yeah, so it seems like the fears I had about the facial animations and fears that some other people had about the facial animations seem to have already been fixed and patched. Aaron did admit in the conversation that the patch at the time wasn't in the preview that I played on Friday, so there you go. So we've seen a fair amount of the levelling up system already through gameplay videos and in a very recent combat trailer. In practice, it is a very quick and open system to use. You could be in the middle of a battle with some fiery locals, or you could be taking a stroll through the Tempest. You can pop into the pause menu, level up yourself and your squad mates, look at the weapons files, and be back into the game in less than a minute. BioWare have seriously streamlined this whole mechanic, and it is for the better. It's clear that while knowing that levelling up is important to the progression of the game, devs want you to spend as much time as possible playing the game, but the progression isn't so streamlined as to feel rushed. Thought and care has gone into this revised system, and while I'll admit it took me probably a few minutes to get accustomed to it, it was very easy and efficient to use. If you're a fan of the progression system in Mass Effect 3, think of a faster, expanded version of that, and you've pretty much got the right idea. Mike Gamble has said in the last couple of weeks that Mass Effect Andromeda is not an open world game, but has large expansive areas to explore. This is supported by the presentation that Fabrice Condominis gave at the beginning of this event, where he said that Andromeda is the biggest game that BioWare have made to date. The main areas I got to explore were the Kadara spaceport, which you guys have already seen, the Badlands, which is a large explorable area below Kadara, Eladen, Habitat 7, and the inside of the main Ket ship, which was something that everyone at the event stumbled into when they weren't really supposed to. The BioWare staff didn't mind as it was a full build of the game, but to not give away spoilers, I won't go into the area in any detail here. If you want to know how big the expansive areas are, my next thought should put any minds at rest if they were worried that the game was not going to be big enough. While I was exploring the Badlands and Eladen, I got lost trying to find my way back to my origin point twice. There is a lot to explore on just these two areas alone, and 4.5 hours playing time was nowhere near enough time to get even close to looking around the full potential of these planets and the wonders and mysteries hidden within. Eladen was the only planet I visited that had weather elements to contend with, and it was clear that the armour I was wearing wasn't up to the job of protecting me from the searing heat. I had to either stick to the shade under the Tempest or run as fast as I could to the nearest building. Upgrades to deal with weather effects are going to be very important indeed, so make sure to prepare yourself accordingly. So for the rest, I'm going to summarise as much as possible, as I'd rather go into more details in separate videos for them. Let's start with the Nomad. Simply put, it is a lot easier to control than the Mako. BioWare's work with Criterion Games shows through, with the Nomad being nimble and agile, fast when in normal drive mode, and reliable when in the slower mode for making your way up the steeper inclines. The normal mode is indicated with the colour blue, while the hill climbing mode is indicated with the colour orange. I also tried ramming one of these friendly guys while driving around, only to be deflected 20 feet in the air and overturned, so you won't be able to run over everything should you run out of ammo. That comes from personal experience. While I'm sure people will miss the Mako, they will quickly come around to the Nomad, a versatile and reliable mode of transport indeed. Next up, the Tempest. When I first saw the Tempest in the initiative briefing, I thought it looked a little bigger internally than it was being made out to be. But upon thorough inspection, while having wide open spaces in certain areas, it is in fact a very small ship with all rooms being situated pretty much off the main central corridor. As in the original trilogy, your squad mates will have their own little areas they'll set themselves up in and hang out when not planet trotting with you. And for those wondering if it is a truly seamless experience going around the ship, the good news is this is very much the case. There are no loading screens on the Tempest at all. Any cutscenes on the ship start pretty much instantly, and in terms of load times in general in the game, or at least the parts of the game I experienced, I didn't have to wait any longer than around 7 seconds to continue my story. I was actually amazed at how little time I lost waiting in so-called load screens. BioWare have done something very, very cool here, and it really helps with the overall immersion of the game. Oh, and when you look out the upper floor windows where the meeting area is, you can see down the full length of the exterior of the Tempest. It's a little thing, but it's bloody awesome to see. Also, just a little note about playing biotic classes, I did get some time to play as a biotic Scott Ryder, and I had a lot of fun with these abilities. And this is coming from a person who 95% of the time plays as a soldier. I'll be sprinkling some of that biotic awesome sauce on my first playthrough, that's for sure. Also, just a quick note on the cover system, not going to dwell on it too much because it really doesn't need dwelling on. It's a fantastic system, it's simply a case of walking up to the cover you want to hide behind, and as soon as you get there it'll just instinctively hide behind the cover, and as soon as you want to retreat from that cover you simply just pull back and it'll automatically pull back from that cover. So you just stand up or you'll crouch down automatically. It's a very easy system, very smooth, and no problems, no sticking like there was in the previous Mass Effect trilogy, so very happy with the new cover system. Next, we look at the galaxy map. Quick and easy to use, and again the transition from ship to planet once you've made your selection is very short indeed. And you see your approach to the planet too. Planet scanning also returns, which I'd compare to Mass Effect 3's planet scanner with a dash of Mass Effect 2's in the mix too. From my look at the map, there are at least 20 star clusters you can visit, but it remains unknown as to how many planets in those systems you can land on, besides the known Golden Worlds. I did get a glimpse of other planets seen in much earlier concept art, but won't go into details due to spoilers, but the hint of the galaxy map that has been teased publicly doesn't come close to showing how many places you can go. There is still galaxy map music, and while it is great, I still prefer the old galaxy map music just a little bit more. And the last little point I wanted to make sure that I got in is the soundtrack. I got to hear parts of it in most areas I was in, but some was removed for obvious spoilery reasons. But I think that everyone will be happy with the music of Mass Effect Andromeda, I have no doubts about that. Overall, my 4+ hours experience with Mass Effect Andromeda was a very positive one. If you're already a Mass Effect fan, you're really going to enjoy what's on offer in this newest installment of the franchise. If you're new to Mass Effect and are looking to try it out, you'll find your time well spent if you decide to invest in the game, but you've also got the option to spend only a few bucks on EA Access for a month, play the 10-hour trial that starts on March the 16th, and see if Andromeda is really for you. While BioWare have achieved their goal in making Andromeda more like the first Mass Effect, they have kept the best parts of the action from Mass Effect 2 and 3 as well. When the devs said that they are going to be doing little nods and hints to the original trilogy, at first I wasn't quite sure how BioWare were going to do this, but now I see exactly how, and they've done it very well. But here's the thing, I'm not going to sit here and tell you whether you should or shouldn't buy this game. That decision is completely up to you, but my hope is, at the very least, this will give you more insight so that you can make a more informed decision. And remember, this was only a small amount of what BioWare is calling their biggest game ever. I personally enjoyed my time with the game, and I am very much looking forward to playing more once it releases, but I'll only be able to make a full assessment once Andromeda releases. So we'll have to wait and see just a little bit longer. That's all for now, but if you want to see more videos on more specific subjects on what I saw and played, or if you want me to do some sort of Q&A to answer any questions you may have, please do let us know down in the comments, and be sure to let us know what you think in general too. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect and more, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.